And welcome back. This is Simone from Biim.Games, and today we are going to create a new array that contains all the cards and the stats related to the cards. At the moment they are just robots, but of course in the future we can add a different kind of cards as well. They can be upgrade for robots or special effect like some attack. They're not coming from another robot, but like, I don't know, explosion or artillery or whatever. We will see about that in the future. So let's start straight away. Today we are going to work only in this event sheet cards database. The only thing we need to add is that is not here yet is the array. You can just right click on the object type, insert new object. We select array and then we call it array underscore cards. Okay, and then since we have 24 cards, we set the width to 24. There will be the X of our array. For the Y we use 8 because we will have 8 values. In the future we might have more values, but for now at this stage we have only 8. If we will have more, we can add later. It's not a big issue. So let's start straight away. Here just close this action, this event. And by the way, actually I should add a comment on this event here because I haven't done it when it was time to do it. I forgot, and so the comment for this will be that the parameter for this param 0 equals array underscore deck dot player number. Let's go on. Okay. So this is just to remind us about this, otherwise our code starts to become bigger, we forget about this function, what it's doing. So this is a parameter we need for the function. So we just add another comment, pressing Q, and then just I'm going to copy and paste so it's easier for us, faster. Okay, so this is the structure of our array, the cards, the new array that we just created. On the X, basically it is a card number starting from 0. And on the Y we have different values. The first value is the name, then we use a type to identify which card is it, if it's a robot, upgrade, effect, and so on. Movement, if it's a robot, of course these are related to robots, how many tiles the robot can move in one turn. Hit points, armor, range. I remember that we discussed about this in the past. Minimum has to be 2, and then of course the maximum can be anything you can reach on the tile, on the battle grid, but we will define this robot by robot. Of course you can decide as you want. And then range damage, how much damage deal that the weapon range, and melee damage, how much damage we deal with the melee weapon. So these will be the stats we're going to use in the next videos. And then we're going to use now to create our array with robots, fill it up. So we'll start first of all with a new event, system on start or layout, and we put this between the two comments. Now remember that event sheet cards database is included inside the event sheet board, and therefore this will string the start or layout. After doing this will appear also, will happen basically this on start layout as well, so they are basically at the same time. So every time we're going to do something inside here, it will happen together with this one. And since we are going to use this on start layout to fill our array with the values of our cards, we have to remember that at every game our array will be overwritten, and that's fine because we don't create array every time on the start layout. The array is already here in the project, so we don't have a problem on creating many copies of the array. And it's okay if we overwrite this information here, because depends how you're going to create your game or structure your game. you might have that this information might change during the game. At this stage, for this tutorial, we are not going to change the information on this array, but you might have something that changes. So therefore, at every game, you want it to be reset, and this is a good way to reset it. So now we can just start straight away to fill the information. And the first thing we're going to do is just add action, and then we go array cards, set at x and y. So first x 0 is for because it's related to the first card, is card number 0, and then we have a y 0 because it's related to the name. So remember, being a text, we need to put a double quotation, and we write Creton. We decide on my Kickstarter, sorry, on my Patreon page. We discuss about the name of the robots and so on. If you actually want to participate in the development of this game, this tutorial, feel free to join us on Patreon. So we discuss every time we have to discuss about the name or statistic or game mechanics, we discuss them. So if you're willing to participate, you're welcome to come and join us. So this is for the first value, this name. Then we copy this, and now we use a y, we use a 1, and the 1 will be type, and being a robot, we say robot capital letter, because we need to use the same way. So you need to keep in mind every time we're going to check this variable, you always need to, in my case, I do it this way, always the first one I use a capital. So if you write robot in this way, it's not going to find a match, of course. So you know already this thing, but just to remind you. And then I copy these 2 lines, and then 2 will be movement, and we want this, our robot moves of 2, maximum 2 squares in 1 turn. And then for 3 we have HP, and we want to give 2 HP. Then we copy again all this form. For the rest of the stats we need to put. Number 4, armor. Since this is mostly a range attack robot, we just say only 1 point of armor. And then for 5 we have range. We can have like a 4 square range. We might have 5, we can adjust later, doesn't really matter at this stage. Then for 6 range damage, let's say make 3 damage with range attack. And for melee attack, it's 7. We say we leave 2. Okay, 2 is fine. Not too high, not too low. It's quite maybe average. We'll see later on. So why I ask you to create this comment first? This, as you can see, I can't remember all the values what I have in this array. So what I'm going to use. So having a comment is something that really I highly recommend you to have. Otherwise, you need to write on a piece of paper or somewhere. Anyway, if you need to check out in the future, maybe after 1, 2, or 3 months, you can really remember what it is. So as something written here is very easy to catch back. It's a little bit annoying. I will show you how to make it better in a few minutes, but definitely something you want to have. Also, there is another way, different way to do this. Rather than write one by one all these values here, you can actually import a file that we can put it here from Excel or TXT or whatever, and then load the information from the file and put in the array. We'll see maybe this in different time because a little bit more complicated things. Anyway, now we need to learn the basics, so no point I jump on that one at this stage. So that's what we're doing this way. So as you can see, it's a little bit tedious to do one by one, but that's what we have to do. And we have to do this for each one of our cards. We have 24 cards, so we have to do one by one. But let's see the best way how to can do this in a minute. First of all, I want just to test with the debug the game. Actually, this is wrong because last time was I click on sprites, so I need to do from here. Okay, so array cards. As you can see, I have maybe I make a little bit bigger. Yeah, card number 0, name is Kriton, comma, it's a robot, and then 2 what all the stats we just wrote it. Of course, the cards 1, 2, 3, and so on, they are all at 0 values because we haven't created them yet, so the array is 0 at this stage. And yeah, that's it. I don't need to show anything else. So we check that everything is working fine. What we're going to do now is to continue here to improve our code, that we can see a little bit better. The first thing I want to suggest you is that see if you do just copy all this value to create the second card. It's a little bit annoying because it's a very long list. So if you are on construct 3, you actually can add a comment between these actions. Every action you can put, so every card you can add a comment, like say card number 00, card number 01, and so on. So it's easy a little bit to read, but at the same time still not the best solution. If you don't have the free version, so you don't have any limitation. Oh, sorry. By the way, if you are construct 2, you cannot do this comment on the action. You can comment only the events here. Therefore, unless you use a third-party plugin, you cannot do this. You can't have this solution. And so what I was going to say before, if you don't have free version, I suggest you to have a sub-event, so you can break this down in different places. It's much easier to read. But before that, I'm going to show you how we can simplify all this to make it a little bit more readable. Yes, it's very good to have a comment here. I suggest you always to keep it anyway as a reference. But you can also do something better, that is adding constant. So it's like adding global variable. And now I'm going to use all these names here. I will use this for constants. And if I write name, and I will leave this to 0 because name is y0. On the description I can write array cards index, just to remember what is it. And if I click constant, you will see that this become all capital letter. See, just to remind me that this is a constant, it automatically is done. And now I'm going to do the same. I duplicate for all the other things. And this is type, but initial value is 1 because the y1 is type. Then I copy again these two. I try to do quick, sorry. Movement, otherwise it takes a little bit too long. It points, and then again duplicate this. Then armor, range, underscore damage. It's a variable or constant. I can leave empty space between the two words, so I need to put something like underscore or leave them together. A little bit readable for me, I prefer this way. Melee damage is 7. Okay, so we have all of them: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Name, type, movement, HP. Name, type, movement, HP. Armor, range, damage, melee damage. Armor, range, damage, melee damage. Okay, so all of them, all of the fields are here. So we're going to do now, just going to replace this 0 with the name here of the constant name. As you can see, they pop out here as variables, as we always seen before. The second one is type. Then we have movement, HP, armor, range damage, and melee damage. Okay, so this is of course very good, first of all, because visually you can just go here if you need to change some values for make a test. You don't need to go and check the comment to see what our values are going back and forward, especially if you have very long list of values, like maybe you have a 20 or 30 stats. If it's a very complicated game, you don't want to read all the stats one by one. It takes so much long time. So it's easy just to read the name here. You know straight away what we're talking about. Of course, the first column is always related to the number card, so I don't need to put the name for this. I think it is very useful for this thing, but also it's useful because during the game you might refer to these coordinates for anything, because you want to change the values, because maybe you have a power up card, then going to increase the value of something, then you want to register this improvement on the array. It's easier to just type it rather than just go back on this event sheet, check the comment and so on. So it's very straightforward. I really suggest you, if you have a lot of values to use this way, because you can organize them better way as you prefer, a more specific name, but I'll leave to you because it's case by case. Okay, at this stage we have this DOM. Is much better to see. If you don't have, as I said before, a limitation with the events, I would suggest you to put one comment, sorry, one sub event, put this inside the sub event, and then we can have a comment for this, and we can call this card 00 robot creator. So it's just easy to have a look. And then we can duplicate this one for the second card. But still, as you can see, if you have a lot of cards, this is a very big block that is all open or all closed. If you have many cards and you want to modify only one, you need to scroll all the cards. So still a very little bit tedious. So what I'm going to do, normally I just add another sub event. I put this inside. Another sub event here, this inside. And then you can just collapse all the things you don't need. It's take much less space, much clear everything, and you can have just a quick look to the names in the comment and go on very quickly on to target what you need to do. Other people prefer to have a group and subgroup. For me, I prefer to don't have group, because if I need to search group for something else, a little bit long list, this way it's clear, but really it's up to you. This is my suggestion, but as I said before, if you don't have a complete version of construct, of course you can't do this because it takes too much events. Your best pick is just to put everything in one line, all the less readable, but you have the trial version, so it's okay. So at this stage we have a card 00 that's ready. We want to modify card 01 in different robot that is called Makoton. This we decide the name of the robot, and this kind of information we decide, as I said before, on Patreon page. So if you want to participate, as I said before, you're welcome. And the first thing you have to do is to change all this 0 in 1, because otherwise if we don't change, we are going to overwrite information of robot creator, and we're not going to create a Makoton, because Makoton is on values number 1 for the X. So first of all, I do this with all of them, so make sure that I don't forget anything while I go to change the value later. It might happen that forget, you start to change the values and then forget to change the X. So now I'm sure that all these are related to robot Makoton, and I'm going to change the actual values. Makoton, still robot movement. Since this is quite bigger and bulkier, we just make movement 1 square only. It's being bigger and tougher, 4 HP and maybe 2 points of armor. I just made up values now. I didn't plan yet. Didn't study the balance between the robots, the fighting, because we haven't done anything about the fighting mechanics yet. So after we have the mechanics, then we can adjust the values to see which one is better and balance the game a little bit. So since it has only one hand as a weapon and the other hand is like a flamer, we just say the range is only 2 squares, and the damage of flamer is not so high like the rifle for the other unit. So we just put 2 values for the range damage, and melee damage maybe you can put a little bit higher, like say 3, and we have done our robot Makoton. So that's it for now. I think the things are not too complicated, just quite straightforward at the moment, but it's good to have organized all your structure of the array properly in this way. I really think this is the best thing you could do now, especially at this stage. You don't have much experience to import file, so this is your best bet from my point of view. And then if you like the video, as usual, like the video, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel. But the best thing for me you can do is just share the video amongst your friends, because I don't have really much time to share the video around, and that's actually, it saves me a lot of time. Then if you want to join me on Patreon, you're also welcome to come to join us. On Patreon, depends on the tier you're going to select. You can have a different kind of benefits, not only participating in the discussion on the polls, but you can also all these files of this tutorial, you can download them, so it's easy for you, don't have to type. You can access to early access of my game, template, assets, a little bit of different things. You can have a look there, and I hope all this material might be helpful for you to develop your game. So said so, I'm going to see you in 2 weeks with the next tutorial. If you have any questions, as usual, you can leave them in the comment. See you later. Bye.